Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Living on Lemonade podcast. As always, I am your host, Lauren. Happy Monday. I am recording on publishing day. I'm a little bit behind this week. I had a fun filled last week, and by the time I got home from the boat last night, I just kind of wanted to chill a bit. I went for a long walk and then I got ready for bed and read in bed until lights out. So I also just didn't really feel like I had the like brain capacity to record last night. So I thought I will get a good night's sleep and then kind of get ready in the morning and then do my recording, edit and publish right away and share with you. Coming up tonight, if you listen to this in time, our monthly class in the Living on Lemonade Facebook community is tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and will the subject this month is sleep. I read this amazing book. If you're watching the YouTube video one, I'm showing it here. It's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, PhD. He's a researcher for sleep and probably other things, but definitely sleep. It was an excellent book. I took a few notes to kind of talk about sleep and why it's important, and then some tips and tricks to help you get better sleep. And yeah. Okay, so this week I want to just like talk about this lovely visit that I had last week with a soul sister, my friend Hilary. We met at the Coast Guard College, and I don't know, like there's just, you know, as you go through life, there's just certain people that cross your paths and that you become acquainted with that just you hit it off right away. I have a few of those friends, and Hill is one of those. Um, we spent lots of time together at the college, had some adventures and stuff, had a lot of laughs. And then about a year after the college, I went out to Prince Rupert where she lives. And it was just I flew into Terrace on March 13th, 2020. So if you remember that date, that was the day that it became like COVID became a pandemic or whatever. At that time, obviously, we didn't really know anything about it, right? How it was going to affect us. They were talking about just like needing 2 weeks kind of thing. Obviously, that changed into like 2 years plus. But at the time, yeah, we were having an adventure together and things really changed very quickly. I'm really glad that she recommended that we get turned around and head to Hyder, Alaska, and Stewart, BC to check that out while we could, because I think we spent 2 nights there, and then everything even shut down there because they're an isolated community, so like fair enough. And then we came back to Rupert. We wanted to go to Haida Gwaii, but yeah, just it didn't happen, and we weren't gonna risk anything. They asked that people that aren't from there don't come, so we canceled our trip, and maybe we will go together some other time. And we spent lots of time just locally. We did have a visit with our other friends that we were at the Coast Guard College with, but then everything kind of shut down. And because Prince Rupert's very isolated as well, they said like kind of shelter in place, have don't hang out outside of your own household. Yeah, so most of the time it was just Hill and I, because we didn't want to risk getting anyone sick or whatever, since we didn't know what was going on at that time. Oh my gosh, I think Hillary is the person in my life that I laugh the hardest with. There's a couple people that I have really good laughs with, that would be really like close in that range, but I'm telling you, Hillary and I, oh man, I'm sure I hope at least you have one of those people in your life, or maybe a couple. When I talk about my whim swims, like my cold water dips, the first one I ever did was with Hillary. We were up in Alaska for the day, And a friend of hers that she went to high school with was up there working, and they by accident, which it turned out really great for us, they came up a day early. They thought they were working the next day, and it was actually the following day. So we had a day together. We explored this ghost town of Hyder, Alaska, and he asked us if we wanted to do a cold water, like a dip in the creek. And we're like, yeah, we had our bathing suits with us because on the way back, we were going to go to the hot springs. So it was just like one of those kind of perfectly timed, I want to say serendipitous, if that's the right word. It worked out really well, and we loved it. It was, like, so refreshing. We felt the total benefits. We did a little bit of the breath work before and then went into the water and just, like, had that euphoric feeling because when you do the breath work and the cold water, um, it changes, like, it releases chemicals in your brain, one of them being endocannabinoids, which cannabis, you can link the kind of the words sounding that way in that they have similar effects to if you were to have like either smoke or ingest or whatever cannabis. You can feel feelings of like euphoria. The endocannabinoids can interact with pain receptors, so you can have some pain relief and stuff, especially if you have chronic pain. Anyway, check it out, Google it, do your own research if you'd like. But we just felt this like, yeah, Wim Hof says get high on your own supply, and that's essentially like what he means with the endocannabinoids and stuff, and how you're really influencing your own physiology in like wonderful ways. Um, and it was a great day. And then when we got back to Rupert, we did a hike up to a lake. I think it was Diana Lake, and we did a cold dip there. And I remember when I'm talking about how hard we laughed. I remember after our cold dip, we went. There was like a pavilion there. We went in there. We got changed into dry clothes, and we had like a picnic lunch with us. We went and sat on the picnic table. And at one point, we were both on either side of the picnic table, laying on like the bench. We were laying down like across the bench, and we were facing each other. And I don't know what we were talking about, but we were laughing so hard. You probably would have thought we just smoked a joint or something, but we didn't. And I remember a mother and son had come into the area and were kind of like, "Did you guys just go for a swim?" We're like, "Yeah." She probably thought we were crazy. We were laughing uncontrollably, like when you can't breathe and then the noise leaves because you're laughing so hard. That's the type of laughter we get. And just lots of silly, fun memories with Hill. So when she was planning a trip to Ontario to meet her fiance's family and then go see her dad in Ohio, I was like, I gotta meet up with her somewhere. And as it turns out, she asked, like, hey, I'd like to come see you. So I picked her up at the train station. We drove straight to the boat. Eric took us out on the boat. It was July 4th, so we went down the river to see the fireworks on the American side, which were beautiful. I brought all this food, like we had fruit and charcuterie, and oh, it was amazing. So it was just a fun little intro for her to introduce her to the town that I live in now. And yeah, we had like just we slept in, we had kind of a quiet morning, went for a swim in Lake Huron. It was nice and cool, so it felt really nice. Hill is like in her 8th month of pregnancy, so yeah, it was nice to just have a bit of she could have a bit of like a staycation in between her running around and traveling and stuff. So and what's interesting when I try to bring mindfulness and my little aha moments into these episodes to just show that how these practices can have a profound effect on our everyday life. And with me, sorry, I need a drink of water, but I just finished my water bottle, so I'm gonna just have to suffer through. For me, a previous version of me would have really I I grew up very idealistic. I've learned that about myself. And very like black and white about things. That has shifted a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot, like mountains. And for the best, right? Because I caused a lot of my own suffering and created a lot of like conflict, not only within myself, but with others too, with my own idealistic approaches or what I thought things should look like and really clung to. If it had been, a few years ago, or I feel like I've let go a lot of stuff in the last maybe 5 years, but there was a version of me that really like would have wanted to take Hill all over the place. Like, oh my gosh, how much can we fit into like the 48 hours we have together kind of thing. And I did have ideas for us. This is how it translated. I would have really pushed for it, even though like at this point in her pregnancy and stuff, she's tired. She just needed some downtime. And I would have pushed against that, to be honest. Like, not proud of it, but it's just how I was, and it's okay because I've grown from there. I had lots of ideas laid out. I was like, "Oh, we could go obviously for a swim near the house. We could go see if she wanted to meet my granny, I'd bring her down to meet my granny and my mom. We could take a drive wherever, find a place to hike. I don't know. I had lots of ideas. But the difference between like trying to like deciding what would be best for us, even though maybe it's not actually best for her, it would maybe be best in my own brain, and having the awareness and openness to just like, here's some ideas. We can go with any of them and just like literally surrender, release, and go with the flow made it so magical because I mean, she's the one growing a human. So I surrendered to that, and it's like what would be best for her and our time together. We can still have an adventure, but maybe it's only going to the beach 20 minutes away, right? For a swim, and the lake's still pretty cool. Like it's not like whim swim cold where you can't stay in, but you get a little bit of that shock when you first go in. It's definitely fresh, but it's like so nice. So my approach this time was just how can we best spend our time in a way that like nourishes our honors our need and honors our needs and nourishes our soul. And I kind of told you what that looked like. We went for a swim, we came back, we actually had a nap, then we made dinner. Oh, we went to the town. She needed to get a gift for her dad, and we went to the town next door instead of going all the way into Sarnia. We didn't end up finding anything, but we got to walk around, get some steps in, move our bodies a little bit, and just kind of like see Petrolia, a nice little town. Um, and then we came home, had a nap. Then we made dinner. Then I took her to my work so she could have a tour. And then two of the people that were in our class were working that night, so we got to see them. Yeah, and then it was new moon. It was a new moon that day. So the last time I was in Rupert, and I won't even anyway, we tried to do a new moon ceremony while I was in Rupert, and I don't know. We like filled the entire house with smoke. Smoke detectors were going off. We were burning sage in this metal bowl. Then it was smoking. We put it outside, and then I eventually poured water in it. But the thing was, her porch patio thing was like kind of like a roof of, I don't know, like a garage or whatever. Anyway, it was like tar. The bowl melted the tar and then stuck to it. So that was an adventure the next morning. So it's always an adventure with us too when we're doing something. So I was like, let's have another new moon ceremony, but we won't cause any smoke detectors to go off or whatever. So we actually did it outside on the back step. We just kind of smudged each other with sage and sweetgrass and set like intentions. It was lovely, and then we came in and pulled oracle cards for each other. Yeah, where was I going with that? It's funny how I sometimes just like get totally off path. The route I wanted to take with that was just surrendering to having options, but just letting like it's like have have a bit of a plan or some ideas, but then leave room for magic. Everything laid out the way that it was supposed to. It didn't feel stressful or like we were missing out on anything because we did exactly what we wanted to do. We had very clear communication, which we always have with stuff. And we got to do a few things without like exhausting ourselves. We got to take it slow and just like really at the very root of it, it was about spending quality time together and being able to just like converse and just be in each other's energy and just soak it all in without any of the hustle. And it turned out so perfectly. We had such a good time together. I super miss her. I'm like sad panda over here that I had to take her to the airport on Saturday morning so she could fly to see her dad. Um, and yeah, I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like optimize and seize the day, but sometimes seizing the day is actually like slowing down and being very intentional and very mindful and very present and in the moment. The quality of our visit was top tier because we weren't trying to like zip here, there, and everywhere and exhaust ourselves. We did a couple things that, yeah, were outside of home, but weren't far. And we could just kind of, yeah, I feel like doing this now. It's like, great, okay, we'll get ready and whatnot. And I think that when you have friends like that too, I called her my soul sister. I really feel you meet certain people in your life that aren't biologically connected, but they feel like family. And I call them soul family. I call her my soul sister. She feels like a sister to me. And it's like, man, we've probably known each other in like a past life because there's just a connection there. There's just an ease. Um, I didn't feel a lot of pressure to I could just be me. And when you find those people that you can just be yourself around, like, oh my gosh, there's nothing more validating and healing. Hill is one of the few people that I can just fully be myself. And I could tell her anything that I was thinking and feeling and feel safe that she would welcome me with open arms, she would listen, she wouldn't try to fix me, and, she wouldn't judge me, right? When you meet people that have just gone through life, experienced a lot of things, and not made themselves a victim to it, have decided to, like, grow from it or, like, what's the lesson here? These are the types of people I find in my experience that hold the most space and are the most open and vulnerable to others and accepting of others' vulnerability. And that to me is like the kind of the goal of this experience in life. Have these experiences. We don't have to like them, especially when they're difficult, but what can we learn from them? How can we grow from them? And just like sometimes we got to battle until we get out the other end if it's super dark and twisty, but it helps us develop within ourselves, and the more that we develop within ourselves, the more it extends outside of ourselves, and the more ability it gives us to hold like have capacity and hold space for others who are going through things and literally just meet them where they're at instead of like, "Ooh, I see you're struggling with this, like let me help you get through it." It's just like, "I'm going to sit here with you. What do you need?" Or do you need me to just sit here? Like, how can I support you? And sometimes supporting is just literally being present with the person. And that's one of the things I love most about her is I can just be open, honest. It's like a big exhale and you just like sink into this comfortable this comfortability with that person, and it's so important to have these people in our lives, have these people we can just show up so authentically with, that we can just be ourselves, because in that space when we can just show up as ourselves, those are the spaces where we also can more like organically increase our curiosity to things. This is where we kind of open up capacity and space to receive the aha moments within our experience, and we see the parallels with what's going on around us that reflects what's in us. And I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but yeah, anyway, to say that the last our little visit together was magical is like an understatement. It was simple, but it was so beautiful. I can't wait for next summer when she gets married. I can't wait for her to have her baby. I'd love to go out and visit her and have some quality time, because you know that like when someone gets married, you see them a little bit, but you don't get that quality time, right? Because everyone's kind of there or traveling in, and it can be kind of chaotic. But I would love to go see her after the baby's born and just have like some quiet time with her. Um, I finished a quilt for her, so I sent it home for baby when it arrives next month. And it definitely, the experience filled my soul cup. It gave me time to just be present, be honest with things, and just go with the flow. It was another example of how you just like surrender and go with the flow. She didn't meet my granny, and that's okay. It would have been fun if it had happened, but it was kind of just like one of the things on the menu. But at the end of the day, it it wasn't what we chose, so that's cool. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I guess the punchline here is just like the have an idea, have a bit of a plan, but leave room for magic. See where it takes you, and remain open and curious, because sometimes the things that unfold are magical beyond your wildest dreams in ways that you might not predict. Doesn't have to be big things. It can just literally be like, oh, my soul cup is full and overflowing from spending 48 hours with this human, and just like taking it easy and being relaxed and doing a few things that really resonate with both of us and feed our soul. So I'm super so much gratitude for our visit, our time together. And one of the interesting things is when we were doing the smudging, she made a comment. She said, your energy feels a lot lighter than the last time we were together." And I took pause with that, because I was like, yeah, it is, isn't it? When I think back to what was going on in 2020 when all that was happening, my dad had just been diagnosed with bladder cancer. Oh, yeah, he had in January, and then this was in March. There was a lot going on, and a lot has happened since then. Hill and I keep in touch, not necessarily like regularly, but we kind of little things here and there, and then we'll have a visit every once in a while and kind of pick up where we left off. And that's one of the things I love. I love those types of friendships, those types of relationships where there's no pressure, and you just the love is there. There's not a question of how you feel about each other. Life happens, and you pick up where you left off. If anything happens, it's just like the love's there, and you always have each other. You're always kind of rooting for each other, even if it's a little bit further away, depending on what's going on in life. So I thought that was lovely. I really, it was very validating for me too. And I was like, yeah, my things have lightened, haven't they? But it wasn't without a lot of inward looking and conscious healing, and giving myself a whole lot of grace along the way. And that translated to the beautiful experience we have, where we just kind of went with the flow. So when we give ourselves grace, it translates into our everyday life, and it just makes things more magical and soul filling. So anywho, I'm gonna get this edited and post it. I hope everyone's doing well. Check out the if you don't join us tonight live for the class, it will be I guess next week's podcast episode. So I'll get that scheduled. I'll be on the ball this time, and I think coming up near the end of the month, you'll have to check. I don't have it on hand here, but check inside the group. If you're not in the group, join the Facebook group. It's lovely. I do these little prompts, like mindfulness prompts every day, things that you can kind of do some self-reflection or curiosity around. Um, and we have like soul care hours. This is the mentorship call. You can come in, we just chat about life, hold space for each other if you want to brainstorm or accept ideas for practices you can try. We do that, but it's not like I'm not here to just like tell you what to do. I'm here to hold space for you. Where anyone on the call is here. We're just holding space for each other. And then we help with whatever we need. Sometimes we just need an ear. Sometimes we need to brainstorm and we meet you where you're at. So it's really beautiful that way. So we have one more later this month. I want to say, let me double check really quickly. I think I know when it is. I want to say it's on. mm, Actually, no, I don't know. I got to double check that. But anyway, you can pop into the group. Come hang out with us. It's a lovely group. It's still building. I'm building it as I go, so that it's just organic and aligns with my capacity and what I'm able to show up for. And yeah, that's it for me. Um, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.